Welcome back to the Pop Report with myself, August Pappas, and joining me as always, Fulton Lee. Lee, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, my guy. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Lee, I want to start this week by talking about a subject that I think might affect a lot of people, whether or not they're in the entertainment industry, music, social media, and that is something called Imposter Syndrome. Lee, are you familiar with what Imposter Syndrome is?
Indeed, I am.
How would you put it in your own words? What is Imposter Syndrome?
It's kind of just like when you're pursuing an endeavor or trying to refine your craft at any given thing, and you kind of are doing it, like the training wheels are off, like you're kind of doing it, but it just feels like in every kind of situation that you're in, you're really just faking it, and everyone else is doing it for real, but you're like just doing it. You're faking it, and you're like passing off like you can do it, but really you can't.
Yeah. Is it something you've dealt with before?
Yeah, definitely. I think to this day, a little bit less so than ever, but
what did that look like for you? Was it at like live shows or recording sessions? When did you deal with that?
I would say it mainly happens to me in the form of musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
I have some confidence as a writer of music, and I have gained confidence over time as a video creator. But when it comes to just chops, especially with singing or even piano playing, guitar playing, if I'm at a live show or I'm in a session, because I can write music well in the sense that I can write parts. So I can sit down with a guitar or keyboard and write a cool part that is hard to play and sounds like somebody who has mastery over the instrument would play that. And then I can practice it and really dig in and kind of master it, but it takes me some serious time. I can't just whip it. I can't just like improvise those kinds of parts like many players can.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm in a space with players that can do that kind of thing, especially when they've seen my content and they see me play that kind of stuff, I feel like they expect me to be able to improvise in that way, and I'm not on that level. I have to like create it in a lab first.
Yeah. I want you to react to this statement. Yeah. Imposter syndrome is actually a very good sign that someone's going to go pretty far at what they're pursuing.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think probably people across the spectrum of legitness all feel imposter syndrome, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think even when I think back to some early shows in Nashville, there are some people we saw play who I don't think had an ounce of imposter syndrome. Who, like, you know, we were moving about in the sort of indie the indie scene in Nashville at the time. It's not like we were playing, you know, big shows and stuff like that. We were playing with other bands that were just getting started like we were. And I definitely saw people perform that made me think, these people think they're crushing it. Like based on, I'm not going to name anyone in particular. I don't know if you remember any of these shows. These people, this is like, they are at their peak level of self-confidence. And I admired that a lot because that's something I didn't have much of. But, you know, as an observer, the show maybe wasn't crushing it as hard as the people on stage thought it was. Right. And I could see that being a governor on how high of a level you can reach. If you think that when you're at level 3 out of 10 and you're pretty sure you're at level 8, that could limit your, you know, the ceiling of what you're capable of.
I could see that. I think that there were also very many people who you could see the insecurity in.
Yeah.
That, you know, when you're watching them and you can tell that they're insecure on stage, you in the same breath also can kind of understand why they feel insecure, because maybe they haven't refined their craft to the point where they can really be confident yet, which is all a part of the process. So I would imagine that person kind of has imposter syndrome, and they aren't really being helped by it, right?
Right.
Like they're still probably not gonna like take it to great heights anytime soon, but they still have the imposter syndrome. So like, I feel like people that make it and people that don't make it all have it, but I can see how somebody without humility, especially somebody that's not like a generational talent that does not have humility would have a really, really hard time growing.
Did you have any ways of dealing with it at the time, or do you have any ways of dealing with it now?
Well, now I really have just accepted the kind of role that I play in the music industry. Like, I am a writer, I am a content creator, and I kind of have built my own brand, and so I don't necessarily need to like be a Swiss Army knife anymore. Like, I can walk into spaces and just tell people like, hey, I'm actually not a great keyboard player. I play one on the internet, you know?
Right.
And
right.
like, I'm just fine with that because that's worked for me. And I think people are like, oh, well, first people are like, oh, I'm sure that you actually are. And, you know, people like to gas you up or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just am comfortable with the places where I do have strengths. And I'm okay with accepting the places where I don't.
Yeah. I think maybe the middle ground is that some imposter syndrome is good if what it means is that after you go perform, you know, we're obviously in the music context here, after you go perform, you feel like you have to really build yourself more to get to the spot you want to be at, you know? Because, you know, 99 out of 100 artists aren't showing up to their first 5 shows with like a really good set, ourselves included, right? It's probably going to take you years of failing and trying again. And imposter syndrome might just be the word for awareness in that moment, that you've got a long way to go. And as long as it doesn't keep you from trying again and again, there's too much. And the too much is when it keeps you away from what you want to be doing, and it's debilitating in that way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, is like, you are probably the kind of person who can feel the uncomfortable feeling of imposter syndrome and then as a response be like, okay, now I'm going to work harder, you know, as a result of this kind of feedback that I'm giving myself. And I think the majority of people with imposter syndrome are debilitated by it at some point.
Oh, you think so?
I do. Yeah, I don't think most people at least instinctively respond with like, okay, let me go bust my ass then. They're like, oh, I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah.
Like, just down to my core, I can't, you know, I'm just not built for it. And that, you know, I think we probably lose a lot of people that could go on to be like truly, like achieve greatness, probably never get there simply because they believe the lie too fully. You know what I mean? That like they're not for real and they give up.
Yeah. I mean, it never really goes away. It hasn't gone away for me. It's something I definitely experience daily, you know, to this day.
What do you think about like some of your heroes, you know, like that to you have like fully made it to the top of the mountain? Do you think that they are feeling it in any way?
That's a great question. I know some of them do. Like I was watching an interview today with one of my favorite directors and some of the film director and some of my favorite actors in the world, and they were saying so many things that I feel inside about my work, which is, you know, kind of immediately deprecating it. And I used to not believe them. Do you know what I mean? I used to think they're just saying that to kind of come across as humble because they're like at the top of the world, you know, in every way. Right. But now I take them seriously, not because I'm at the top of the world, but because if, you know, I was to look at where I am and where our music is 5 years ago, to me, this would be the top of the world. This would be like cool as it could have possibly been. And I still feel like I'm not bringing what I need to bring in a lot of ways. Yeah. So, watching my heroes be self-deprecating, one, I now take them seriously. And it's part of what makes me think, you know, maybe as long as you can harness it, it's part of the strength that gets you to where you want to go. And it's kind of a sacrifice you have to make. Maybe the sacrifice you might have to make to get to where you want to go is never being happy with where you've gotten to.
Well, yeah, you know, and I think probably for a lot of people, it's not even so much to do with just the objective analysis of their work as much as it is with like a deeper just self-worth. Yeah. You know, like I'm sure that a lot of directors can like, or a lot of just creatives or just people in general can look at something they've made and objectively be like, you know, it's pretty good, but but they still can't shake this like deeper seated core feeling that like I don't belong here.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah,
Do you feel like you're over that?
There.
Do you think you feel like you've gotten past that?
Yeah, like I said, it's not so much that I feel like I have achieved a level of mastery in any kind of way that's like, oh, I'm over the hump. Like I officially am on par with my peers. I think I've just accepted where I am weak, and I no longer see it as this thing that like delegitimizes me. I more just see it as like just kind of just a limitation that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like everybody has limitations. These are just my limitations. I work around them. I've been able to build something in spite of it. I don't know. I just own it. And I kind of feel like if somebody were to look down on me for those limitations, like that's their problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I aspire to that level of maturity at some point.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think a lot of it there's something about, I feel like everyone says this. I feel dumb saying it, but there's something about having kids. You stop caring what other people think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know what that is, but that's definitely a part of it.
Okay, well, anyway, this show is called the Pop Report because we're gonna surf over some pop culture topics here today, and this is the entree for today, Lee. We are going to talk about the musical Hamilton.
Oh yeah, okay, right.
So I'm going to start you off with a hot take on Hamilton that I want your reaction to, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. The best thing that could ever be said about Hamilton is that one day 5th graders will really enjoy it while their teacher is sick.
Oh. That was good. That was well said.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, that's hilarious. You know, okay. So we never had like a proper discussion about this.
We haven't.
Like I can totally see it. Like I absolutely can view it in the lens of like, this is like somebody making a caricature of what's corny about musical theater. Just like almost like a spoof. And I feel like the first time I saw it, it was like the first 10 minutes. I was like, this is absurd. Like the level of cheese that they are just like unapologetically just throwing at me is like, it's crazy. I can't believe that we're still doing this. But I feel like after 10 or 15 minutes, you just settle into the world, and then the storylines kind of start to take you somewhere. And then you're just in it, and the whole kind of aesthetic of it just because you just accept it, and you're desensitized to things that are cheesy. Now you're just in the story, and then because it's like 2.5 hours or something crazy.
Yeah, it's a break.
Yeah, and then once you're invested in the story, then things happen in terms of like performance and lyricism and storytelling and plot, and then by the end you're like, that was a masterpiece. Like, wow. But you know, I could see someone having an issue just breaking through the aesthetic at all. So
yeah, I was watching it earlier today because I knew we were going to talk about it, and I was keeping careful track. I wanted to know, how long do I make this before I just shrivel up on the inside? You know what I mean? Of like really suffering. And it was about 6 minutes. It was 6 minutes in. I had to hit stop. I hit play again. I kept going, but I needed a break. I was like, there's something about rap talking, man. It's rap talking. I can't deal with rap talking. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh yeah.
It's like 100%. We could just be talking. Like, this isn't a song. We're just getting through exposition. I need to tell you something, but I'm going to rap it because rapping is cooler than just talking. And that just crushes my soul on the inside. Well,
you are the most, your cringe meter is as sensitive as anyone I've ever met. And that can be a very valuable thing as a creative person. But you know, to me, you got to give it like 20 minutes to desensitize yourself to that cringe so you can just be in the world. Did you feel like you could get there?
I got there because the world becomes more, for lack of a better term, musical as it goes along as well.
Right.
In the early goings of the musical, and this is why I've had such a initial yuck factor with it. In the early goings, there's so much exposition of being like, I'm this guy. This is my whole life story in 2 lines of rap. And then I'm this guy, and this is my whole life story. That drives me crazy. I can't stand that. But then the songs start. Right. And here's maybe my favorite song of the entire musical is King George's first song.
Oh my God.
I think it's called "You'll Be Back."
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah.
His character is funny. The lines, the lyricism is hilarious, it's musically really cool. Like totally. I enjoy just listening to the music. If it was just all it was a song, I would really just enjoy the song by itself.
Right.
But man, do you got to wade through a lot of rap talk to get there.
Yeah,
and it's hard.
I mean, can't you see a world where it's like impressive the fact that they're getting through all this exposition and the whole time it's rhyming?
I can, and it really gets to my core conflict about how I feel about Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Right,
because it really is him as an artist. That whole show is his artistry on display, which is incredible. He's an amazing writer. But it's not for me to decide what rap is and what rap should be, but that it's just his delivery is just it's Disney. It's just very Disney.
Yeah.
And rap and Disney, it's a unhappy marriage in my head. You know what I mean? Like, don't you think rap just needs a little more hard corners and rough edges and, rebelliousness and...
Of course. But, like, don't you... I just... Yeah, you got to take a step back and remember it's musical theater.
Yeah.
It's not an album. It's not even a movie. It's musical theater. They're on a stage. Like, musical theater has this level of... like obnoxious animated personalities and like caricatures of real people, and I think that's just the nature of that medium. And if you're gonna put rap in it, that's how it's gonna sound. It's never gonna sound like gritty,
Yeah, I think the way you described it earlier as something that you can be caught up in and pulled along by is really perfect. When I was a kid, I went and saw Rent in theaters. So I saw the movie Rent. And I think I was in middle school. I think I was like 12, and it just blew my mind.
Wow.
Like it was long. It was like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And the whole time I was like, couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, have you seen that movie before? It opens with the song that's like, it's like, 525,600 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know that song?
Yeah.
It's a total cheeseball musical theater song, but it just hit me right where it needed to. And from that moment, for like the whole 2.5 hours, I was bought in. And like the movie ended, and it's a movie about like AIDS and people's romances, people dying, and New York, all this stuff. And we were in the car ride home, and my dad hated it. And he was talking about how he hated it on the car ride home. And I remember what he said, like, I just can't watch people sing at each other for 2 hours. And I think in a certain way, my inner pretentiousness was born in that moment from my dad. Like,
he is responsible for so much turmoil in my life.
He planted the seed that would never let me get swept away in a wave in that same way again. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, but there are musicals that you do love.
Oh yeah. Anything Disney. Like I saw Lion King off Broadway. Unbelievable.
Okay. Wow. Right.
Yeah, just couldn't have enjoyed it more.
Wow.
Hamilton, here's another way to put it. It's like, it reminds me of, it's like a blend of slam poetry. Right. You know what I mean by slam poetry?
Oh yeah.
And then like a elementary school assembly where they bring in these like 40-year-old guys in George Washington outfits who are like smoking a cigarette before the assembly and they're just doing it to make like $250, and they go out in front of a bunch of kids, and they're in like a hat, and they're like, "I'm George Washington, kids, and this is my story." And it just grinds at me on the inside.
Yeah. Or it's like a 30-year-old youth pastor trying to make like a trendy YouTube video to teach people about Jesus,
Yeah. I think Hamilton is also very indicative of its time. I think it's a time capsule of what was that? The mid 2015s or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think our conversation is kind of just further just displaying what, at least for me, I pictured this, our difference being, which is that it's the outer shell of aesthetic that the whole story is wrapped in. That it's the style of rap, it's the delivery of the words, and all of that. To me, it's aesthetic. It's like the design on the outside of the package. Like, it's not that important to me. Like, I understand what the aesthetic is in the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, that's what it is. That's what we're just gonna have to. It's gonna have to be that.
Yeah.
and then I'm like, and then I move past that and into the deeper parts of the story and the lyricism and like the talent that it takes to write such a cohesive story and have everything rhyme. Cause like, it's very unique in the sense that it does not have, there's like 2 lines of dialogue that are not inside of a song.
Right.
And that's extremely unique and very, very difficult. Like, you can put on Hamilton in the car and just listen to it and get the entire story. Yep. Like, you are on the ride 100% of the way. I can't think of another musical where you can just listen to the soundtrack and see the whole thing happen in your head. And those things, I appreciate, like, and their artistic merit strikes me as I watch. So yeah, obviously all of those things strike you too, but you still are seeing them through the lens of the corny aesthetic. And so it's harder for you. And I get that, but
yeah,
how it happens for
it
me.
is unquestionably a technical masterpiece.
Right.
Like, that can't be not denied. It is mastery on multiple levels, but it also, it reminds me of like a millennial, like 8th grade social studies teacher who, is a little too into Taylor Swift and doesn't really follow any mainstream rappers. And this is like, in their world, the coolest thing that has ever happened. And I just grew up around people like that and unfairly judge them all the time. Mm-hmm. And it brings out my inner just kind of asshole who judges those people for enjoying the things they enjoy,
Yeah, like, it's an interesting, honestly, it's an interesting little pocket of taste that we're hitting on here, because you're willing to recognize the masterful nature of things from a lyrical and technical standpoint, but the aesthetic of it is, you can't, like, it's so not cool to you. Yeah. And so we find ourselves now in the conversation of what constitutes cool, and like, that's such an interesting question and such an impossible question, but I'm curious, like, can you kind of conjure up an answer to that?
It's, what is cool is the shock value of rap. Like, what is cool to me is listening to like early Eminem or contemporary Kendrick. Mm-hmm. And without that, it really becomes elementary school cool. And that's fine. It's okay that the next time. So here's what would have happened if we hadn't talked about this on this podcast, Lee, is you wouldn't have really thought about Hamilton again until your kids were like 11. And they were like, oh yeah, we watched this thing. Like, our teacher showed us this thing because it was like a snow day, or, right. It was like the last day of school. It was called Hamilton. And you'd be like, oh yeah, Hamilton. It's like, it's just going to be it's going into its little corner. In our cultural experience, it had its moment, and now it's going into where it belongs, which is, lunchtime movies in social studies class.
Well, perhaps. Well, okay. Well, I'll let you finish your thought. Like, were you gonna say something about like me encountering it again for the next time, or are you just making the point that like?
Oh, I'm just making the point that I think we're culturally, broadly, we're already kind of over it. And like if Hamilton 2 came out, I don't think people would be that interested.
I disagree.
Really?
I totally disagree. Yeah, okay, first of all, you might not be plugged into like social media or this like little pocket of social media, but there was a totally random clip from a song from Hamilton that went viral like a couple months ago.
Okay.
And it was these women doing skits. It's the song where he's like it's like later on in the show, and he is about to leave at like 4 a.m. to go to some meeting, and his wife is like, why do you write like you're running out of time? And he's like, I'll be back, just go to bed, and it was these women like dressed up as Lin-Manuel and like about to like sneak out the window, and then it would like cut to them as the wife like waking up in bed being like, where are you going? And it went very viral, and it was like a trend, like a huge trend. I probably saw 25 of these videos. And so that song it just had another moment. And I guess my point is like, in the same way that you kind of have, and I genuinely don't find this to be a derogatory term. I know some people do, but you have people that are like Disney adults who are like really, really into Disney. And there are some people that are Disney adults, and probably the way that term is mainly used is like adults that go to Disney World like 6 to 12 times a year, and they're just like really into it.
Yep.
But there are lots more adults that kind of just have a more, what would you say, like mild version of that same thing, where they really have a deep connection to Disney and the movies that they watched as a kid, and they might not like express it outwardly enough for it to become have another cultural moment. But every time something is done in the universe of those movies, people flock to it. Like the quiet, lovers of Disney all come out. And I think the cult following is totally still being silently carried by the generation that experienced it. And I think if Hamilton 2 came out, we would see all of them come out, I
want to present this to you from the perspective of a different of a rap artist, and that's Tobey and Wigway.
Okay, love him.
Who we've both been into for a while. When Tobey and Wigway started, got popular, he was making these really kind of strange but really beautiful music videos. His rap is very minimal. It's very kind of dark and intense and religious. It's very religious. And I loved his early stuff. It would be like him. He was wearing like flip-flops, like sweat shorts, and he would just be on a football field somewhere rapping, and it was just dark and creepy and cool and awesome. And then it just got a little too family friendly for my taste. Like he really? Went, I really thought so. It just became a little too much about it. It became too feely. It made me think about my feelings too much.
Okay, yeah, I can see
like
that.
What I really grasped onto with early Tobey and Wigway was the edge and the sort of bizarreness of it. Mm-hmm. And I think rap is close to like abstract painting in that it should really sort of offend you in certain ways, or offend someone. Someone should be like, what was that? Like that hurt my feelings a little bit. And I think the contrast between early Tobey and what it is now is kind of indicative of how I feel about Hamilton, which it's gotta hurt someone's feelings somehow. What do you think about that?
But there are totally styles of rap that are more storytelling and aren't necessarily gritty and grungy and alternative, that are more. I wish I could think of an example, because like I understand what you're saying, and I feel like what you're saying almost is the same thing as our conversation about the definition of cool. Cool has to have some edge. Mm-hmm. Cool has to like, and even if not edge, it has to take a message and dress it up in a way that makes it less direct.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, instead of saying in a song, I love you, you dress it up in poetic language. And if you can do it in a way that's like, that's still discernible, but is profound, now it's cool. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I guess to me, the angle that you're taking, like the way you're defining what rap should be, makes it impossible to use it just to tell a story.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
you know
fair.
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because if Lin-Manuel was going to try and capture what you're talking about, you wouldn't be able to listen to it in the car and really catch every plot point.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just what makes it so palatable to such a wide audience is just a part of what it has to be to tell that story. Yeah.
Exactly. Because like you have to just hear it in plain language. Because and even still, you miss a lot because the lyrics just fly by.
Yeah.
And there's so much story happening, and the songs just keep going. And if he tried to like make it edgier or like, I don't know. I mean, I guess he could have like used language that was a little harsher, but then I don't know. He probably wanted kids to be able to watch it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
And it shouldn't be a derogatory thing that it'll eventually just be a lunchtime social studies class movie. Like we should all aspire to be that, right?
Right.
Who am I to look down on movies watched by elementary school students? I would love to author one of those myself,
Hello. I mean, look at National Treasure. Top one movie of all time.
All right, dude, let's wrap it up today with one more topic. This is something we've discussed a lot just because it's part of our work. I want to talk about, on the subject of Lin-Manuel Miranda and Hamilton, how you write lyrics, how you go about starting an original idea for a song and bringing that across the finish line as a published track. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Well, it used to be a certain way years ago, and now that my videos have gained so much attention, I very much craft songs to fit whatever video idea I have in the works. So I'll think of an idea, like, random example, I had an idea, cook with me. And I knew that I wanted to sit behind a table with some cooking elements, like a pot and a spoon that I could like tap against the pot, and a pepper grinder, and like use these cooking elements as sounds to loop a beat and then sing, a song. And so I knew the song would kind of have to make reference to cooking. Mm-hmm. I knew that the production, the sounds in the production would have to, be these sounds that I can use on this table. And so in a lot of ways, every song I write now has like a prompt. And in that case, that was the prompt. And so I wrote a song called Sizzle. And there's like, the drum beat, the snare sound is the sound of an onion being chopped. And there's the sound of like a spoon tapping a pot. And there's a salt shaker that I'm shaking and using as a shaker. And the lyrics are just different references to cooking. I forget even what it it's just classic. Like there are a couple categories of songs, right? There's love songs, there's inspirational songs, there's I'm the man songs,
right?
And there's only like a couple other small categories outside of that. There's like breakup songs, but there's these like main chunks of songs. So I think that one's kind of like an I'm the man song. And you just make a bunch of wordplay with cooking. So for me, it's very prompt based these days.
I kind of miss gibberish, the days of gibberish.
I know.
Which is just a reference to, we used to probably start more with instrumental demos, right? We'd have like an instrumental track we really liked, and then you would kind of build lyrics from the ground up. And what that would mean is you would just make up gibberish over the line. So the words didn't really, connect in any meaningful way, but you were looking for melodies, right?
Yeah.
And some of that gibberish stayed in and landed. We recorded a song called "Call You Mine," and that has an entire section of just gibberish.
It was just freestyled, yeah.
which I don't think. Do you think people would note? What do you think people think about that section of the song? Do you think people notice these lyrics are particularly vague?
They make enough sense. You know, people have, because I've talked about it like once or twice, and people have been very surprised to hear that it was just like a freestyled kind of one take thing that doesn't have like a specific inspiration in terms of like a life experience. Mm-hmm. You know, it's tell you, babe, why don't you call me? Won't you call me in the right now, baby, but don't call me in the rain. Tell me what I need to know. You know, so it's like, it's totally a way to hear that where you're like, oh, wow, this is deep.
Dude, I think about the phrase, call me in the right now. Like, yeah, call me in the right now. That phrase has just become a part of my normal thought process. Like in the right now.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and what I think is cool is that it doesn't, the fact that it was freestyled and that it doesn't have any particular deeper meaning for me as the writer doesn't take away from it at all. You know, like music is so, especially lyrics within music, there's so much leeway to say things however you want. And something that doesn't quite make sense all of a sudden just becomes a cool way to say a thing. You know?
Do you have any particular turns of phrase in our discography that you're particularly proud of?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I really, you know, in terms of songs, there are people that talk about good songs and then perfect songs. And to me, the term perfect song doesn't describe a song that's like the pinnacle of great songwriting. It more just describes a song that's like very symmetrical, mm-hmm. and very like, phrases rise and fall in a way that's like kind of just fits perfectly into the structure of a song. Like I said, it doesn't mean that the song is like literally perfect. It just means that it's like a song.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there are good songs that don't fit very neatly into like a square block into a square hole kind of structure, but they're still great songs. But other songs fit really neatly like that. And one of ours is Close to the Edge. The chorus, you might be close to the edge, close like a heartbeat, is close to the chest, don't you let go, don't you give in, you don't know when change, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, those are the ones that get rest, and it's close to the ones that are close to the edge. The way it raps, so because it starts with close to the edge, and then it goes on this journey lyrically, and then it ends with the term close to the edge in a new way. Yeah, I've always been proud of that.
I agree. You know, I was hoping you might talk about Biscuit, but we'll save that. We'll save that for another time. So Lee, this has been great, man. Always a pleasure. Anyone listening who is angry at me for not liking Hamilton, you can let us know about it on Discord. Please. And until the next Pop Report, I'll see you, man.
All right. Peace out.